people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. The Zuffa criticisms continue to rain down after they've made their inaugural Zuffa debut.
Ringwalk Danny.
You might be familiar with Ringwalk Danny from The Boxing Voice during his time there. These days, he can be seen in the corner of Devin Haney. And he had this to say: it's almost like Al Haymon was doing the same thing with another three-letter company with way bigger names, higher payouts, and less creative control over fighters.
I take it that Danny likes the PBC.
That's what it sounds like. This is a familiar exercise. Whenever someone new enters into the boxing space, you start to see the whataboutisms. I remember it when Eddie Hearn and DAZN debuted in America. I remember it some years later when Turki El Sheikh first entered into the boxing space. Now that Dana White,
Here come the whataboutisms.
that these guys aren't doing anything that Al Haymon didn't already try to do, except when Al Haymon did it, he was chastised and he was slandered, he was mistreated, when in reality, everybody got the same hazing.
All of them.
The misconception is thinking that Al Haymon was trying to do the same thing that Eddie Hearn did on DAZN or Turki El Sheikh, more recently Dana White via Paramount and Zuffa.
It's not. It's a false equivalency argument.
And a short-sighted one, because in order to make it, you have to gloss over quite a bit. The short version is Al Haymon took a manager's approach to promotion, but he did that with other people's money, say Waddle and Reed's money, or NBC's, or Fox's, or Showtime's. That's where he fucked up.
And that's not what Eddie Hearn did, or what Dana White is doing.
Not even gonna bring Turki El Sheikh into it, because that guy's got a war chest so big he can actually afford to fuck off millions upon millions of dollars devoid of consequence. But Al?
Not so much.
Al took a sort of managerial approach to being a promoter. Even if he wasn't a promoter by name, that's the role that he assumed upon the inception of his PBC. But before that, he was a manager, managing many of the fighters on the Golden Boy Promotions roster. Now, how did he get all those fighters to leave an established promotion like Golden Boy for a brand new one in the PBC?
It's an important question.
Because the answer to that question involves fucking off a lot of other people's money. The answer is, he got all those fighters to leave Golden Boy for his PBC by offering them more money than they were worth.
And Ringwalk Danny himself mentions that when he talks about higher payouts.
Yeah, he was paying out a lot to those fighters, more than he should have, because he burnt through all that Waddle and Reed money very quick.
Was it $500 million?
It's nothing to brag about that Al Haymon fucked off that much money and now has nothing to show for it.
You talk about bigger names. He was kicking out higher payouts and he had bigger names. Well, not big enough to make the money back that he fucked off.
You see, where Al is different from Eddie Hearn, from Dana White, and what they're doing on their respective platforms is they are working to bring their broadcast partner results, whereas Al Haymon seemed more focused on overpaying fighters at the expense of his investors, at the expense of his broadcast partners, in effect delivering little to no results.
Overpaying fighters for what were inferior fights and an overall inferior product.
This is not a point of contention. It's not up for debate that the product was inferior or that Al Haymon failed to deliver results, because if he had, NBC would have offered him an extension. Fox, Showtime, they would have offered him an extension. Paramount would have brought them over.
They didn't.
So at the end of Matchroom's deal with Sky Sports, right before they made the decision to go all in with DAZN, you know that Sky Sports wanted them to stay.
They made a play to keep them, it just wasn't bigger than what DAZN was offering.
At the end of Dana White's deal with ESPN, ESPN would have liked for Dana White's UFC to stay on their platform, but they knew they couldn't afford them. They knew there were other broadcasters that would offer them more money.
And they did. Paramount Plus did.
Now ask me if NBC wanted the PBC to stay, or Fox, or Showtime, at the end of their deal.
Nope.
So why do so many guys act like Al Haymon is some wizard that did some amazing fucking job or service to the sport of boxing when all you did was take other people's money to overpay fighters for what was an inferior product, and the only reason you overpaid them is that you promised them more money if they come with you.
They did, so you had to deliver on that promise.
Now for what I mean when I say that Al Haymon took a manager's approach to being a promoter. You know how Rick Mirrigan not that long ago was demanding $10 million for Virgil to fight Boots, even though that dollar amount, it's too much.
The economics of the fight wouldn't cover it, but that didn't stop Rick Mirrigan from asking for it, because he doesn't care if the fight breaks even, and he doesn't care what effect that has on the platform, so long as he can take the money and run. That's basically what Al was doing for years.
He was paying top dollar to fighters that are not top billing at the expense of his broadcast partners, which are a lot harder to replace than a couple of fighters.
Don't tell the fighters that.
Which is why he's in the predicament that he's in today, his PBC, and why you find yourself making false equivalency arguments to defend him, because you don't really understand what happened. So if you doubt my rationale, you tell me. If he did such a bang-up job, why didn't NBC offer him another deal? Why didn't Fox? Why didn't Showtime? After he leaves that network in the 2 years that followed,
why didn't another broadcaster pick him up?
he had plenty of time. It turns out that Paramount wanted to stay in live sport, wanted to keep showing boxing after all, just not Al Haymon's brand of boxing. Why do you think that is? Paramount is Showtime's parent company. The decision to give Showtime Sports the boot came from them.
If Haymon was doing such a bang-up job over there, why did Paramount make the decision to swap out PBC for Zuffa?
You say that Al Haymon had less creative control over fighters.
Less than Dana White has now at Zuffa.
Oh, so you think that's a good thing? The guy who actually brokers the deal with the network and partners up with them should then hand over the reins to the fighters?
Oh, the fighters should be the ones in control.
So that they can then pay themselves whatever exorbitant amount of money they want, whether they're worth it or not.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's how you run a business into the ground. That's how you go from doing approximately 36 shows in a calendar year to just 5. And that's reality. Don't compare what Al Haymon tried to do to what Eddie Hearn has been doing or what Dana White is about to do. They're trying to deliver results to their broadcast partner. That's not what Al was doing. If it were,
he'd still have them.
Al took a manager's approach to being a promoter with no regard for his broadcast partner and delivering them results. Instead, he treated them like marks,
skimming money out of them until they finally said, well, enough is enough. We're not getting anything in return, so what do we need from you? Because Al Haymon at his very best is a grifter, which wouldn't be so bad if he actually had something to show for it, for the grift, in the end. But he doesn't.
You can't compare his failed experiment to what other people are doing in the boxing space that he may soon be phased out of.
And they read as follows. Max DeLuca, 114 even. Tim Cheatham, 118-110. Steve Weisfeld, 116-112, both in the winner by majority decision. And still, the heavyweight champion of the world, Raymond Danger Muratalla.
Yeah, can't get his ass, King.
The fuck is wrong with you?
Let me get some of that shit, Keith. Hold on. Come on. Cause what he doing over here? You wanna come to Norfolk? Come to Norfolk? Come to Norfolk, nigga. Don't come around here. This is not that amateur shit. Come around here playing? Hold on. Then they say, yeah, nah, hell nah.
That is Keyshawn Davis and a friend seemingly celebrating Raymond Muratalla's win over Andy Cruz, though why they would be so happy about it.
Where's your fucking dignity?
I think it was my old college roommate, Nadim Haddad, who said it best. This is not a competitor. You can't go 0-4 to a dude and celebrate another man's win over him with one attempt. Andy Cruz losing actually makes you look worse. That's the dude you should have been cheering for, so you can fight once you have the chance to cut the lead down to 42.
Let's be honest, they weren't really cheering for Raymond Muratalla. I don't think they're that close. What that really is Keyshawn Davis breathing a sigh of relief that someone else succeeded where he had already failed. Because he fought Andy in the amateurs, 4 or 5 times and lost every time.
He had the opportunity to pick up where they left off in the paid ranks, but in the paid ranks, Keyshawn Davis expressed no interest in fighting Andy again. In fact, he didn't want to.
Keyshawn Davis's fall from grace is going to be a thing for the record books because I really used to like this kid, and I had a lot of faith in him. He's let me down.
What this puts on display is a gross lack of gumption and character. You're so happy that somebody else beat Andy? You should be angry that it wasn't you.
I understand that boxers are not two-dimensional. They're not characters in a comic book or a video game. But the optics of this are really, really poor, I think.
He's exposing himself more and more that he's a fucking cornball.
This is why I can't do interviews with fighters, even the ones that I like, because I know that they're just people after all. Even if they fight for a living, they're just people, and most people are full of shit.
So you shouldn't put him on a pedestal, and how could anybody put Keyshawn on one after such a poor display?
I can't do it.
He's got this upcoming Jermaine Ortiz fight next weekend on the undercard of Stevenson versus Lopez that could prove to be a wild card because Keyshawn hasn't fought in a while. He's debuting at a new weight with a new corner.
Doesn't have Bo Mack anymore.
After a lack of composure and discipline saw his previous fight with Edwin De Los Santos cancelled. I heard him say that 140 is just a pit stop. He's going to have the fight with Jermaine Ortiz, presumably win, then move up to 147. And I don't get the impression that that's the plan that Top Rank laid out for him back when they were up and running. I get the impression this is of his doing. This is him and his team's idea. But what is it based on?
Is it actually a plan, or is it just about not having to make 140? Because it's hard, and you don't want to do anything hard.
Like you didn't want to make the weight for the Edwin De Los Santos fight. You don't want to have to keep making this weight.
I wonder if he's going to make it for this fight. Because if he's not going to stay there, then there's no incentive to keep making it.
If it's not towards something at 140, if it's not an eliminator, if it's not for a title, fighting for one down the line, you know he might decide to blow it. The reason he blew it at 135 was likely because that was going to be his last fight at 135, so he figures, why should I kill myself to make it? Might do the same thing at 140, because his first fight there may be his last fight there. So is rushing to 147 part of some master plan, a master stroke, or is it just about not having to make weight, not having to do anything difficult, anything hard?
Because then it's not a plan, that's just you being lazy.
I couldn't tell you what the trajectory of Keyshawn Davis's career is at this point. I only get the impression that this is not a plan that Top Rank laid out for him.
No, it doesn't look like it.
Their vetting process is the best in the business, and everybody knows that. But if they're not the ones in control here, steering the ship, then Keyshawn Davis is exposed to the elements.
They know how to develop fighters, to put them in the right fights at the right time so they can become better fighters. As a result, or be exposed. What you can and cannot become will be exposed in the matchmaking, though what's happening now is not at Top Rank's request.
It's not their doing, and so I don't know what the trajectory of Keyshawn Davis's career is and how far he's going to go. What is he going to be?
I used to have a lot more faith in him. I used to think he could go all the way, whereas now, not so sure.
What do you make of Chisora Wilder?
He's all right. Like, you know, I mean, obviously, look, Dell is what Dell is. He's a British boxing, what do you want to call him? Hero? Icon? You know. Wilder is way past his best, but always a name and always exciting. And I think Chisora wins. So I think it's a good fight for Dell.
It's a good fight for both, actually. For guys in the stage of their career that Wilder is in, there are not that many big opportunities to fight in front of a big crowd. That there is still one or some for him is actually good.
For big money.
I read somewhere that this is supposed to be part of Misfits Pro, the promotional company that was started by social media influencer KSI and helmed by veteran promoters, the Sauerland brothers. I heard they're the ones at the helm of the promotion. It's going to be distributed by Sky on Sky Sports.
As a pay-per-view.
I don't really know what that means for the US broadcast, if there's even going to be one. Maybe DAZN will decide to get involved and air the fight here in the United States as part of the regular schedule because I don't think you should bill this as a pay-per-view to Americans.
Deontay Wilder is no longer box office to an American audience, and Derek, God bless him, for all of his marquee value in the United Kingdom, it didn't carry over to the United States, so a United Kingdom fight in the middle of the afternoon with these two guys that are in the twilight stages of their careers.
It's not pay-per-view worthy. You do that, nobody will buy it.
In the UK, you can do it, but in the US, not so much. Still, I like the fight. I like the fight for Derek. I like the fight for Wilder. It's absolutely true that he's past his best, and so is Derek, but sometimes those are the fights that deliver the most. The ones where the guys aren't so cautious, aren't so careful, aren't so perfect or trying to be.
Two guys that are really good at the peak of their powers sometimes cancel each other out, and you end up with an anticlimactic situation, whereas two guys that ain't perfect and are letting it all hang out.
Gaddy versus Ward.
Need I remind you that Mickey Ward, the pride alone, had a recorded 11 losses going into the first Arturo Gaddy fight. Gaddy had 5 losses. These guys were less than perfect before they faced each other, but when they faced each other, man alive, did they deliver us a classic and proving that you don't need to be perfect to be entertaining.
Boxing snobs get all caught up with pound-for-pound status and championships and unbeaten records, forgetting what we're here to see. We're really here to see two guys beat the shit out of each other.
And I ain't too good to see Deontay and Derek beat the shit out of each other. I may be leaning towards Derek Chisora. I might be. I think he's got more left to give the sport of boxing, even though he has a lot more losses than Wilder.
So I'm leaning towards Derek, but boxing being the theater of the unexpected, you never really know until you know. Hell, I thought that Andy Cruz was going to win this weekend, and I was wrong. It's getting it wrong that makes it fun, that makes it exciting. And like I said, I ain't too good to see Derek and Deontay do the dance.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
No, because it's not a Matchroom, a Queensbury promotion show. I don't really know what that undercard's gonna look like. It's supposed to be a Misfits pro show, and I don't know of many boxers that are with Misfits that aren't social media influencers, so... Is that who's gonna be on the undercard? TikTokers and Instagrammers? We'll see. They've got to do what they've got to do to make this fight attractive to a massive audience, because bear in mind, it's via Sky Sports, who up until recently we thought left boxing. Seems like they only want to do the occasional big fight, and they must think this one is a big one if they let Boxer go, but they want to do this?
Whatever.
Supposed to be going down in April, so the clock is ticking, and the answers will come. But do I like the fight? I do like the fight. I just don't think it should be a pay-per-view. Not in America.